Hello.
Good morning. How are you?
Fantastic. It's so good to see your smiling face.
Well, same here, my love, and I appreciate you so much for taking time out of your schedule. What side of the globe are you on?
I am in Ruston, Louisiana, preparing to speak at my alma mater, Grambling State University, homecoming this weekend, and I'm doing coin toss for the football game. So,
Okay, you know what? And I'm gonna wish you the best with that this weekend. But see, when
mm,
it comes down to that good old homecoming for you, that's great. But Bayou Classic, don't even worry about showing up because you already know how it's gonna go. Jaguar Nation. But I love you in spite of, okay?
okay, okay, we good. We good every weekend except for that
That's it. I know that you're a busy man and you got a lot going on. It's I have so many questions that need answers. You're no
one.
stranger to this entertainment industry, right?
Nah, I've been
Um,
doing this a little bit, a little bit.
how did you know that you wanted to keep the art of art alive?
Um, I think at the core, I really do think I am a storyteller. You
Mhm.
know what I mean? And I really realized that I was that when I was at Grambling State University and I took a drama class and I would just act out these scenarios that happened in my life. And one of the students in the class, her name was Erica Wright. You know what I mean? So what ended up happening was, that class was interesting. She graduated. I graduated the year after or so. And then like 3 years later, I was in Chicago and some buddies of mine was like, yo, you heard Erica new album. So Erica Wright was Erica Badu. So she was the first person to tell me in
That
Grambling
registers.
that, you know what I mean, you should start writing. But being from Detroit, it didn't really click. It really didn't click until I moved to California and started from the ground up and just started hustling. But it was her. She was the first person to tell me, like, well, if your life is this interesting, you need to start writing this down and putting it in a book or a movie or something. So that was the first time in my life that I really realized that, storytelling was an avenue that I may be able to pursue.
And here we are. You know,
Mhm.
even then, she saw something in you because it was something that you loved and something that I guess you thought was just every day. So possibly just journaling and some type of therapeutic remedy, to help you get through these situations and try to figure these scenarios out yourself. And, people really want to hear your stories. And you have been amazing at inking it from all perspectives. So even a viewer can see it and get it.
Well, I think that's very important to tap into the universe, the universal nature of stories. You know what I mean? I think that's a good story when no matter if you're male, female, if you're white, black, Latino, Asian, whatever you are, that you can tap into, the core, and you may not understand all aspects of it, but there's something that can you can tap into, that story wise.
Right. And I know that you've been working on a lot of projects, but boy, this latest one, you got you some heavy hitting material going right now with this BMF. Like, how did you know that this was something that you wanted to tackle? Were you just sitting up during the pandemic and you were on this quarantine aisle and said, you know what, this might be the lick. Let me just figure it out. Like the voices in your head told you what?
No, I mean, you have to understand, I've been working on this project for over 3.5 years.
Wow.
I mean, so like, I remember, like, I used to write on Power. I would like the first 3 seasons of Power. You
Mhm.
know what I mean? I specifically wrote a lot for 50's character Kanan. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So what was interesting was I remember we were on Power and he came to me and he was like, yo, I just got the BMF joint. Now I'm originally from Detroit and they're
Okay.
from Detroit. So I'm looking like, oh, you must be telling me this because you about to ask me to write it. And I knew I was about to step away from Power anyway. And he's like, yeah, I got these other 2 writers to do it. So I had to pick my job and put it back on. And I went on to do like The Quad. I did Rebel with John Singleton. And then I did Star. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And then 50 circled back around and he was like, yo, are you still interested in telling BMF? And
In
I'm
other
like,
words, hey man, I want to get this right.
right. So I'm like, heck yeah. And then like he put me on the phone with Meech and I spoke to Meech. I mean, I went to prison like 3 or 4 times. I went to some shady spots in Atlanta and Detroit, all trying to get this story. And what was the most interesting thing is when I first got on with Meech, he said, I don't want to tell, everybody knows about these 2 brothers from Detroit that went to Atlanta and started getting money. He was
Right.
like, I don't want to tell that. I want to tell the origin story, why we got into it, how do we get into it. And what's really interesting is he was like, we come from a 2-parent household. You would think, given the things that we did, we came from a broken family. It was like our family wasn't broken. We was
weren't
just
the statistic. We weren't
yeah,
the statistics,
agreed.
So don't try to picture us in this and point us out as, no, mama and daddy, they were there. They wasn't really having this, but
yeah, 100%, 100%. So, that was sort of how the journey began. And then really one of the main conceits of our show is I think we get to get into the mind of a 17-year-old. A 17-year-old really genius in some instances.
Absolutely.
Who had a vision on how he wanted to grow his organization. So I think what we do with our voiceovers is we get to tap in to understand how he thinks at a 17-year-old, so that when he grows, we're going to see that matriculation. And I think, that's something that I'm really excited about.
Yeah. And I mean, what was that first conversation like when you had him on the phone? I mean, it's not like y'all were running the streets together at home, boys, but when you get him on the phone and you know that he's about to tell you his perspective and how he wants his story portrayed, how did you feel in that moment?
I would be lying to you if I said I wasn't a little nervous with the initial conversation. You know what I mean? I was like, whoa, you know what I mean? It was just awesome because I realized there's so many similarities between he and I. Specifically, his name is Demetrius. My middle name is Demetrius. You know what I mean? He's from Detroit. I'm from Detroit. He's like 3 years older than me, but we're from the same era. So music wise, you know what I mean? So like we just connected instantly. And like he grew up in a household that was really, based in Christianity. I did as well. You know what I mean? He got to an age when he was like, yeah, I'm not going to church this week. I got to an age when I was like, yeah, Granny, not this week. You know what I mean? I'll be there for all the holidays. I'll be there for everything.
Mother's Day, Christmas, Easter, possibly Thanksgiving. I'm going to holler at y'all.
Yeah, I see you at all of them. I'm going to have a new suit on for Easter, like you always dress me.
Right.
But I'm going this week. You know what I mean? Yeah, so we just connected, and then music wise. And then honest to God, really by us being Detroiters, I think that's why he felt so confident in me telling this story, because, season 1 takes place in Detroit. You know what I mean? So therefore, I wanted to make Detroit as much of a character as The Wire was in Baltimore, as Los Angeles is in Snowfall, because Detroit, I mean, I know people laugh and joke about my hometown, but I'm saying culturally, especially for African Americans, it's a very viable place for the development of our culture. And people always go Motown, and I'm like, yes, but in this area that we're talking about, I'm talking about techno music. EDM is the biggest music in the world, but it is a derivative of techno, which was formed in Detroit by 3 Black kids. So, I had to really lace that in there. I mean, we have our own language, our own dress code. And, I just really wanted to infuse it with Detroit, because Detroit is the largest municipality to ever file bankruptcy. So when you think about, all the problems that were plaguing the city with the educational system, problems that sent these 2 brothers into the streets to try to find their slice of the American dream, you kind of have to understand, the city in which they were in.
And the role that it played. It's not something that they just woke up and decided to do. They felt that the pressure was on and this is our way out. And indeed, it was the way out. But wow, when I tell you, they were able to organize all of that. And this is before the social media world, before the world of everybody just connecting with a button away. Do you understand the power of the mind and how you have to go and persuade people? I mean, like, this is a never ending story. And I'm super excited about this project for you. And you're working with a lot of great young talent on this. Like, how important was it that when you were inking these characters, you got someone who would represent and really pull off this story?
Well, yeah, that's very important. I mean, you have to have, no matter how good the writing is, you have to have an actor who can convey, all those emotions that are on the page. And what was interesting was when, again, going back to Meech, when I first started talking to Meech, he was like, I don't want to use the same old actors that's been in everything. I want to discover some new talent. You know what I mean? I'm not sure if you're aware, but 50 Cent was doing these he was on these castings. He did one in Atlanta. I think it was 4,500 people showed up. He did one in LA. The line was wrapped around the block like 4 or 5 times. He did one, I think, in Detroit. But anyway, he was doing these castings. And he was looking for who Meech and Terry were. And at the first casting, little Demetrius Flannery's son, Little Meech, he showed up. And he was sitting with 50. And after seeing all of these people, 50 looked at him and he said, "It's you." You know what I mean? So this is a kid who had never acted, never even considered it. So he moved him from Miami, Florida to Los Angeles, California, and enrolled him in Tasha Smith's acting school for like 2 years. You know what I mean?
Right.
And the kid had to learn the game. You know, and to be truthful with you, when I first saw him, I was like, not really, not for me. This is my second series. My first was Rebel with John Singleton. This is the biggest opportunity I was getting. And I'm going to sign up with a kid who never did this.
This is important to you.
I'm like, I don't know about that. But then, you know, the kid kept working and kept working. And then we put him in a chemistry read with Da Vinci, who plays his brother Terry. And I was like, oh, you know what I mean? And his inexperience can play as vulnerabilities to suck the audience in more. And I was like, okay, so I'll ride with him. You know what I mean? But then what was really interesting was once we got him to Atlanta, you know what I mean? And we cut his hair. I was like, that is Demetrius Flannery. You know what I mean? So I have all credit has to go to 50 Cent. And all credit has to go also to Little Meech, because what I had to do was I couldn't treat him like a regular actor. I may have to put more time in and pull him to the side and tell him why I wrote the scene and blah, blah, blah. And the beautiful thing is that's how I started. But by the time we got to episode 8, he would pull me to the side and he would say, "Randy, let me tell you what this scene is about." And I would be like, sometimes it would be way deeper or more thought-provoking than I ever imagined. I'd be like, yeah, that's what I'm right. You know what I mean? So to see that growth and development, that's what you want.
And then to see that they're taking this seriously, you know, it's not a sense of entitlement. You got to work for this, because everybody who touched this sets every single day got to work for it, you know, because it's a vision that's rolling. But if one person drops that ball because they take it for granted, the whole team fail, you know, and that's not where we are and where we want to be.
No, not at all. And I think that one of the key benefits that you do there is that's why you hire, you know, veterans like Russell Hornsby, like a Nicole Brianna White, like a Steve Harris, like a Wood Harris, and you surround them with your young talent. You know what I mean? So that the young talent can infuse energy and that spirit in the veterans, and the veterans can, you know, provide some of that knowledge and wisdom that the young bucks need, and set the example. You show up to set not on time before. You know all your work. You know all your lines, but not only yours. You need to know your partners too. So I think we had the perfect mix in that regard. And really, I really believe I have one of the best casts on TV. You know what I mean? So,
yeah. You know, and they're going to work hard to make you proud. That's for sure. And because they want to be a part of the next, right? So the next time you do this casting call, you do it on Southern University's campus. Charlie, don't leave me. See, I've been practicing. You seen that? Huh? Oh, don't leave. You seen that? Huh? I got you. Bet. You know what? I am super proud of you. And I want you to think of this as an extension of your office. You know, as you have things going on, feel free to jump on the tan line, say, "Hey, we got this popping off. Did you see this? Did you hear about that? I got to tell the world." Let's do it. You're extended family now. So you're stuck with me, like it or not.
I appreciate that. I'll holler at you at any time.
Absolutely. I know you got work to do, so I'm gonna let you get ready for that coin toss. Good luck with that. Good luck with the game. And absolutely. I'll see you for Bayou Classic.
We'll see you there. Yeah, we should talk. We should talk before that. Yeah,
absolutely. You know, write the score on the board so you can thank me later. So listen, anytime you needed a thing, I'm here, and I appreciate you more than you know.
You have a blessed day.
You too.
I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.